To support this podcast, visit us at patreon.com. That's So Savvy Podcast.
Welcome to That's So Savvy, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories and journeys of remarkable business leaders. Join our host, Nancy Eichholz, a seasoned professional and experienced entrepreneur, on her mission to discover the recipe for business success.
Welcome back to That's So Savvy. It is episode number 5, and I have one of my dear friends here. I'm so excited to have just a fun conversation with Donna Salyers. She is the founder and owner of Fabulous Furs, Donna Salyers Fabulous Furs. They are the world's finest faux fur, and you can find them in 46 countries. So let's all take a big travel tour and go to 46 countries and buy these gorgeous faux furs. They look so real, but they're not. So we're not killing any animals, and they're just beautiful and stylish. She's been in business 35 years. She has evolved like crazy, starting in her basement. And I'm going to have Donna, welcome. I'm going to have you just tell us your story and how you got where you are today and all the fun things along the way. And that's what we're kind of talking about today, because you have more savvy secrets than pretty much anybody I know. So
Nancy,
welcome.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm honored to be here because as long as we've known each other, we commiserate about this is going right, this is not. Mm-hmm. Oh, good Lord. And that's what a business is. If you think it will be all rainbows and butterflies, you should not be an entrepreneur.
Definitely.
We will all have our hard days.
Yes.
But I have the most humble story of any entrepreneur that I know, because I'm from a blue-collar family. I started making my own clothes when I was 7. I thought all kids made their own clothes, but I was blessed to have a grandmother who sewed better than anyone. Wow. And she did alterations for all the finest stores in Cincinnati. And among all the granddaughters, I was the only willing taker, because sewing is pretty meticulous and everything goes wrong and you won't have a success right away.
Right.
And of course, that's my favorite kind of thing.
The challenge. You love the challenge.
Yeah. And so my grandmother, if she was going to teach someone how to sew, you would do it right 10 times before you called that finished.
Wow.
And I thought that's how everyone treated sewing, but of course they don't. I started with a sewing kit. Now, why would anyone think that you could have a business selling faux fur coat sewing kits? I think back and think, what an idiot.
Clearly not. Yeah, clearly we're not an idiot. So what stage of life was this for you?
Okay, so let me back up. I got married young. I was 20, and I'm still married to my dear husband, who has supported me through every crazy idea.
Well, you guys are a great team.
We are. And we are a team because he's commercial real estate. Donna always needed more space. And I knew the guy I slept with could help me out here. We were married and didn't have children till we were married for like 8-9 years. So we had time to establish ourselves. And I did not go to college. College was never an option. Even though I was offered a college scholarship, my family said, we can't afford the books, the tuition, or, all the ancillary things. So that's good. I started working when I was 13, and I've worked ever since. And that agrees with me. I love to be busy. Yeah. And I guess a workaholic, I guess we are, right? So what's wrong with that?
I think we're just wired for business.
Yeah.
Like when I was little, I played business. I had Barbies, but all my Barbies had businesses. So I think it's just how we're wired.
Yeah, right. I wholeheartedly agree. So I started working when I was 13, and I was in sales. And I learned how to look people in the eye and try to sell them and sell them. And I did sell them. And in fact, the store manager, it was a clothing store in Covington, Kentucky. The store manager called my mother and said, because he didn't have the heart to tell me, can you tell Donna to hold back? Because she makes all the older ladies who have been here and the seasoned retailers, she makes them look bad. Oh. She outsells them. And so I thought, that's really cool.
That is cool.
I want to be the best. I want to be the best. And so I always had jobs. And when we had children, and I was, say, 28, 29, I would read. I sewed all the time. made my clothes, the kids' clothes, all that. And I wrote a letter to the editor at the Cincinnati Enquirer. Everybody read the Enquirer. In fact, there were 2 daily papers at that time. And I said, your sewing column is so awful. Even I could do a better job. And they wrote me back and said, we agree. It's horrible. Send us 6 samples. And I did. And with that, I was a newspaper columnist, which sounded pretty cool to me.
Yeah, you and Dear Abby.
Yes. And Irma Bombeck. Those are the people I wanted to be. So I started writing my column and I realized that, oh my gosh, like $25 a week or some horrible amount. I guess a person has to become syndicated. And it only took me 7 years. I went on the syndication, sending letters, endless letters. I became syndicated.
Wow.
That opened up a lot of doors. I now am a professional newspaper writer on sewing and fashion.
Wow.
Now I'm going to pick up TV experience because women TV at that time in the early 80s was geared to women. They had a noon news and most women were in their kitchens making lunch for their children. And I was going to be on all the local news channels, talking about here's how to make placemats. Here's how to make Halloween costumes.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was fun.
Yeah.
And then there was a Cincinnati man, Charlie Murdoch. He put together a series of programs for women. There would be fitness, there would be cooking, fresh fruits and vegetables, Claire Thornton, and there would be Donna Salyers, sewing, etc. And I had to go to New York to do my TV show. And I had never been to New York before. And it was quite daunting, not just to be doing a TV show with Simplicity and Coates and Clark and Viking Sewing Machine as the sponsor, but I've never been to that big city. So go to New York and I realized everyone in the entire city, it felt, was wearing a full-length mink coat, except for this poor, pathetic hillbilly. So I said, I am not going back until I have a full-length mink coat, just like all the other ladies. And of course, I had to make one. But by then, I had some connections to mills. I knew that there were mills in faux fur mills in Tennessee. And I made a coat, and I thought it looked pretty good. And then I'm walking around in New York, and people stop me and say, that's a fabulous coat.
That's a fabulous fur.
Yes. And I never breathed a word that it was fake, that I had finished it the night before.
Back then, that was the opposite of it is how it is now.
Yes.
Like you wouldn't really be caught dead in a real one now.
That's right.
Perfect.
That's right. My TV show went on and so on, and I make some money. And by golly, I've got $5,000 that no one in the world knows about but me, and I'm going to treat myself to a full-length mink coat. And as I'm driving to the fur salon, I'll drop off my columns at the Enquirer. I'm going to stop and buy myself a mink coat, and Jim will be so shocked when he sees me in this thing. And Paul Harvey, the radio broadcaster, comes into my car radio. I've got my $5,000 in hot money, heading to the fur salon, drop off my columns first. And Paul Harvey describes a toy manufacturer in London who took kittens, will give them a good home, and they skin them alive and pass them off as mink teddy bears. Of course, that's how people react when you think of your kitten skinned alive. That's my pet. But how is that so different than the 100 minks that it would take? And so that realization
on your way
struck me. And I'm sure it's divine intervention.
I was going to say,
because how could that, it wasn't happenstance.
No,
of course. Right. So I thought, oh my goodness, no way will I do this.
Wow.
I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a sewing kit business, and people can make a coat just like me. Well, I've effectively eliminated about 95% of the population, but in my first year of business in 1989, we did $300,000 in revenue.
Whoa.
And that was out of my basement garage, which I think is about $1 million in today's dollars.
Right.
Yes. I was on my way. And it was stunning because Hollywood discovered us.
I was going to say, you've had a lot of Hollywood moments. Like, let's talk about a few of those because those are so fun. Like, how did that come about?
And I shake my head along with everyone else because Covington, Kentucky is not the fashion capital. And in fact, we're the gateway to hillbilly land. Fine. That's good.
We have good bourbon over there.
Yes. And
a great hotel.
And I'm proud to be a hillbilly because I think we're very innovative and very resourceful. That's the key word. And if you're going to start a business or be a success in any business, you better be resourceful because it won't work out as you expect.
Boy, that's for sure.
Yeah. But recently, and maybe I haven't told you this, Adele was dancing in one of our coats.
No.
Yes, at a Hollywood birthday party for,
oh my gosh.
A big basketball player. It was his birthday. And there's Adele wearing our coat on Instagram.
Gosh, that's so
I nearly died.
Oh
and next to her is like Beyonce and Jay-Z. And
they're probably wondering, where'd you get that coat?
We keep good company.
Yes, we do.
I mean, we've had some just crazy, crazy things. Like our showroom is in Covington, Kentucky. Kiss, they were performing, the rock group, they were performing at Rupp Arena. Their manager called and said, the boys want to come up and shop and they want to come by jet and they'll land at Lunken Airport, which is further than, they could drive 60 minutes, take the 60-minute up I-75
right,
or do the jet and come. So they came by jet and they shopped in our showroom on 11th Street in Covington. So things like this never cease to amaze me. I'm just incredulous along with everyone else that my sewing kit business has evolved into this.
But it wasn't just that you had a sewing kit. You had a sewing kit and a concept that no one else was doing, which I think is super savvy.
Thank you.
So the kind of like the blue ocean concept of instead of fishing in the same apparel pond that everyone else is fishing in, you're going where there's no other people fishing. So you have access to a whole different market with a whole different unique line. That to me is brilliant. And talk about savvy.
Nancy, it's not brilliant. It is not. Because, you say it so, you articulate it so well. In my mind, I thought everyone sewed as much as I did. Of course they don't. They did not.
No.
And then sewing peaked in the 80s. And then when inexpensive Chinese imports started flooding the market, that killed this home sewing industry.
Right.
And we didn't see it coming, of course, except we could see our numbers were not growing like we did. People aren't sewing as they did. Quickly, we said, whoever was working with me and my husband, he would look at the numbers and he said, something's wrong. No one's sewing. That's what went wrong. They weren't ready to wear.
But you were sewing.
Oh, God, yes. I was sewing everything. I was, for people who couldn't sew the coats,
right.
I would sew a coat for them. Not quickly, but we evolved into finished goods.
Now, with people not growing up sewing anymore, are you having trouble finding the quality seamstresses that you need?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
I would think that would be a big challenge. Of course.
And we have a workroom. That's what you call a sewing manufacturing business facility. We have 110,000 square feet in Covington, thanks to my wonderful commercial real estate husband. And a good space is dedicated to cutting, sewing, inspection, and so on. We still make about 50% of what we sell, but we have to count on offshore sewing facilities because the majority of our business is in the fourth quarter. We're very much a seasonal business. So we work really hard 8-9 months out of the year to get ready for that window of opportunity.
Right.
And so we can't keep up with it. So that's a good thing.
That is
I'm
a good
very
thing.
Grateful for that.
Well, what I've been so amazed at, honestly, everything you do amazes me, Donna. No. She's also a really good golfer and fun to play golf with, among other things. But I've been watching or listening to your story for a while now. And the fact that you started 35 years ago with this business, but really you started much earlier with your newspaper career that led to all of this, the evolution of you, the evolution of the business, and not just that it evolved, because all businesses do evolve over time, but the culture of your industry from the time you started 35 years ago plus to now is night and day. And yet you are as successful today, maybe more so.
I better be.
Yeah. But it's so different. So what would you say are the really key differences between kind of then and now? And also, what were some of the savviest things you did in order to evolve with the market without getting just sucked under by it?
Well, you articulate it so well. I was never that savvy, but when I watch, oh my goodness, no one's sewing. Now I've got to do all the sewing. Oh dear. I better hire somebody and help me sew. But
so you just have the instinct, I think, for it.
Maybe I didn't have Barbies who had businesses.
But you could have sewn their clothes for me.
Yes, I could. Design them first. It's been do or die. And I've always felt like I don't know what I'm doing, but I will figure it out. Or I will die trying to make this work. But, one thing that I look at today is the number of women who work and they have children at home. My kids they were very young when I started writing, but I could write till 2 a.m. and that did not impact them.
Right.
But once they were in school, that's when I hit it hard. Grade school. I wanted to be the one who sent them to school and I'm home when they get home. But I really... and I'm amazed at how women juggle so many things.
Right.
But when I started Fabulous Furs, people looked at it and said, oh, good God, what are you talking about? And I can remember one, and you have to have the toughest skin in the entire world, because my husband's longtime friend and attorney, he said, why don't you come over, Donna, bring a rack of coats and we'll do, for all the people in the office, we'll do a little fashion show and just show them what you have. And I did. And I can remember sitting there at like one of Cincinnati's largest law firms in a beautiful building, high rise. And somebody passes through and says, oh, what have you got here? I said, this is all faux. And he said, oh. The idea had not taken hold yet.
Right.
Of how
early adopters.
Yes. But had I not heard that Paul Harvey story about animals being skinned alive, and of course, in the fur industry, that's quite routine. It's an absolutely brutal industry. And thank goodness that there are fake furs that are even nicer than animal fur.
Yeah.
They're guilt-free. They go into the washer. If it's good enough for Oprah. So Oprah, we've been on the cover of Oprah magazine. And these things happen out of nowhere, except I know exactly how it happened. We exhibited at the Atlanta Merchandise Mart, and Adam Glassman, who was the creative director at Oprah magazine when that was a very big deal, and she had her show that people watch 5 days a week. He came through and stopped at our booth, and as an aside, Adam Glassman, his family were furriers. So he knew something pretty. He could appreciate a really good faux.
Right.
And he said, oh my God, can you send this and that? Because we're going to do a photo shoot next week and we want to include Fabulous Furs. Oh. Well, I died and went to heaven.
Of course.
in that moment. And that began our relationship with Oprah.
Wow.
And with Adam Glassman, truly. One day, I remember it very clearly, we were having our 4th of July dock party where we have a cookout on our back dock and all its glory and play cornhole. And oh my gosh, Donna, I got a call from Oprah magazine and they said, Oprah wants to wear your coat on the cover and we're doing the photo shoot next week. And we want you to make a coat with extra length.
Next week.
Yes, with extra length in the arms because she'll probably have her arms thrown up over her head. And we want an extra 8 inches. And I said, first of all, no, you don't. You do not want 8 inches.
She's going to have baggy
She'll
arms.
drown. But I can tell you, I know what she needs, and it's not 8 inches, but I can do that. So I went down to the dock party and said, you guys, I've got to make Oprah's coat, and I'm not going to have a hot dog or anything. And so, so they all celebrate. So I've had so many wonderful moments like that, that somehow many times. They come at just the right moment.
Right.
Say,
How
long can I do this? This is really hard.
I know.
Or like a bank has said, we're pulling your credit line. And you say, oh, now what? Now. And then Oprah calls or
right. Something happens.
All those things.
Right.
And so maybe that's just the luck of the Irish that it hits me at the right moment.
Yeah.
And
I also think it's faith. I mean, you just have that it's going to work out positive mentality. And I know when we were talking earlier about your savvy secrets, one of them is an attitude of gratitude. Things go south even in the best of times.
Yes, they do.
I love that. Yes, yes, they do. Even when you're just screaming towards success, you can hit a roadblock and it can be anything. But I think you have just a really great attitude about those kind of ups and downs. And I think that has been one of your unknown to you savvy secrets. I think you have a lot of savvy secrets you just don't even realize. So I love that one. But you also had a couple of other things that you have done over time that have kept you vibrant and moving forward. Do you want to tell us a little bit about a couple of those savvy secrets?
Well, I don't know how people get through life without a really strong faith in something. And for me, that's meant a lot. I get very anxious and I need physical activity. I need to go take a walk, and it might be an hour and a half walk at the end of the day just to calm down.
That's great, though.
And so
I've always is great.
Thank goodness I figured that out very early in my life. That I could, for goodness sake, I would never think of drugs, but I'm sure the drugs that people turn to, maybe physical exercise or fitness or yoga.
Yeah,
or
good spin class or yoga.
Some sort of an escape that is for
those endorphins, right?
Yes, it reduces all the stress of the day and puts things into perspective. And I've also always felt that if I can help somebody, I don't know who it is and I don't know anything about what you need, but tell me what you need and I'll try to come up with an idea because there is always someone who's way down on their luck, far more than any business
Somebody
problem.
Always has it worse than we do.
Yes. And that puts things in their proper perspective.
Right.
Because after all, it is business.
Right.
And take it for what it is.
Yeah. If your family's
maybe
good.
Help someone.
Yeah. Right. I also love your comment about learning something new daily. Made some comments about how do you do that?
I did not go to college, but I always thought I can learn anything I want. And that was my parents, their mentality that neither of them even graduated from high school. But my dad could read and teach himself how to run these big boilers that operated all the big manufacturers in Cincinnati. I saw them do that. And I thought, I can learn what I need to know.
Right.
And so I've always been an avid reader. And my favorite thing to do right now is to listen to the Wall Street Journal. I feel like I have a business degree, or at least the beginning.
Listening, that's a great idea.
Degree, because we subscribe to the Wall Street Journal and I can listen to it audibly. And I love that perspective that you can hear about. Every business in the entire world is going through something, some realignment, or they're laying off 1,000 people and they put my little problems. There's some little nugget of wisdom there that I can apply to Fabulous Furs. And that's what I do. I'm obsessed with Fabulous Furs.
Yes, good. That's
and
good.
Everything I run into all day long, I apply that to Fabulous Furs. Yeah. Now, not everybody has that intensity.
You're a sponge. Right. You are a sponge.
And maybe not the craziness. That, is that crazy or is that being intense? I'm not sure.
Well, I think there's a fine line between all of those things. And as long as you stay on the positive side of the equation.
Fall off the edge all the time.
No, that's great. Well, I know that our listeners are so motivated by your story. And I know that they're going to look further into more about you. So it's fabulousfurs.com, right?
Yes.
So I like to end the session with a little question. And I have 3 different questions. I'm going to ask you 2 of them. Well, actually, one you've already talked about your favorite life hack is keeping your body busy and using exercise to relieve that stress and tension. So we already know your life hack. But my other favorite question is, and I loved your answer to this, when you go to sleep tonight, when you wake up tomorrow morning, where in the world would you most like to be?
Well, wherever my husband is.
I love that answer.
And if he's in Covington, where we have a condo, that will make me very happy. And if we were in Florida, we have a home in Florida, that would suit me just as well. Yeah. But I just love to be close to our children and our kids.
Right.
And
your grandchildren, right?
We have 4 grandchildren. I've got to get busy and teach my newly 16-year-old how to drive.
Oh my.
I want that to be Granny's, Jack and Granny, Jack learning how to drive. So I love being involved in their lives. Nancy, I've flown to Australia 7 times.
Oh my gosh.
I've gone to China 10. And so I'm happy to stay.
Yes, you're happy to stay.
Covington, Greater Cincinnati.
But how long have you 2 been married?
58 years.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. First of all, and you still have so much life left, and you're both healthy and young at heart and young.
Well, he's been a great business consultant and a great business partner.
Right. Really good partners.
We're one is strong, the other one isn't, and we come together.
Yeah, that's wonderful. How did you meet?
I had a bag of potato chips, and I asked him if he'd like to have a party at Indian Lake.
Oh. With a bag of potato chips.
Just roll your eyes and shake your head.
I love Indian Lake. My mother's family, they all had places up there. We used to go up there all the time.
Really?
But, yeah, great.
I bet you didn't stay at Beatley's on the beach, though.
I probably did not. But what I do love, I think that same Coca-Cola sign from 8 million years ago is still there. It's totally lost in time.
Yes.
Wonderful place. But, that's so fun. Well, this has been just way too much fun. I can't wait to see what the next phase of Fabulous Furs is going to be, because you're always up to something. Because what our listeners don't know is not only are you amazing in this fabulous fur business, but that you and your husband and others of your family have built one of the most wonderful hotels, well, really 2 now, in Covington, Kentucky, which I think has become a destination spot when people come here as they go to stay at Hotel Covington.
It's shocking, isn't it?
Well, who knew when you started it? Once I saw it, once I walked into that lobby, I thought, oh, this is going to be a huge success, because we just didn't have anything like that around here. And you've really changed that industry, and you've changed the whole vibe over there in Covington. You've made it really a subset of downtown Cincinnati, where I don't think it really was before.
Well, credit goes to our son-in-law, Guy Van Royen. He's the hotel guy. I just put a throw in every room.
Well, there you go.
Fabulous Furs throw in every room.
Oh, there you go. And that's that little pop of fashion that's needed to make it like home. Well, thank you, Donna.
My pleasure.
Great to have you. Great to see you as always. And listeners, you are going to, sure you enjoyed this episode. I think you'll probably go online and buy yourself a fabulous fur, but maybe do it before 4th quarter, since Donna's going to be pretty busy then. But get yourself an early Christmas present. Then you can wear it all through the season. Thank you. Talk to you soon.